Okay, so in the last video I talked about putting acids and alkalis on this scale from 1 up to 14, and that if we had a pH of less than 7 it was going to be acidic, and if it was a pH of greater than 7 it was going to be an alkali. Now in reality, if you've got two solutions, one of them's an acid and one of them's an alkali, if you just look at them you can't tell which one's which. They're both going to be clear solutions. So what we need is a way to test the solutions to work out if it's an acid or if it's an alkali. All right, and we can do that with something called an indicator. Okay, so that's what this video is about. This video is about indicators. So an indicator is something which changes color depending on if it is added to an acid or an alkali. Okay, so there are two types of indicators that we're going to learn about. And so each one, when we're learning about it, you should have this idea in your mind that you've got a solution of an acid or an alkali, clear solution, you can't tell if it's acid or alkali, and it's just a test that you can do to work out which one it is. So the first type of indicator is litmus paper. Okay, now litmus paper is exactly that. It's just a bit of paper. All right, so you'll see it when we do this experiment in the lab. It's a bit of paper about this big. Okay, and all you do is you take the bit of paper and you dip it into your solution. Okay, and it will change color, and if it changes color it tells you something about the solution. Okay, now there are two types of litmus paper. Okay, the first type is red litmus paper, and the second type is blue litmus paper. Okay, now the red litmus paper, that will turn blue with alkali, and the blue litmus paper will turn red with acid. Okay, and what that means is, it means that the red litmus paper, if I put that in acid, nothing happens. Okay, so no change with acid. And the blue litmus paper is going to be no change with alkali. Okay, so I know there's a lot of different combinations of things there, but really all you need to remember is that red litmus paper tests for alkali. So if the alkali is there, it will change color, and because it's red, it's going to turn blue. And blue litmus paper, that tests your acid. Okay, so the blue litmus paper tests for acid. So if there is acid, it will change color. You don't need to remember what color it changes because there's only two colors. So if there is acid there, it will change blue. Okay, or you could think about it, well, red litmus paper tests for alkali, so if it stays the same, then it's an acid. And blue litmus paper tests for acid, so if it stays the same, it must be an alkali. Okay, so you're going to want to pause the video here and make a note of that, and try and test yourself and see if you can remember what those different combinations of outcomes are. All right, you might want to make a flashcard about it. Okay, right, so moving on, that was our first indicator. Okay, so that was the first way to tell between an acid and alkali. However, the problem with this is that all it does is it tells us whether it's an alkali or an acid. Okay, so you'll remember up here with the pH scale, the litmus paper can only tell us if it's less than 7 or if it's more than 7. Okay, but that's not very helpful because this is an entire scale of different acidities and alkalinities. So what if if I've got an acid here and an acid here, okay, so I've got this acid, let's say pH of 5, this acid, pH of 2, and I do the blue litmus paper test, they're both going to turn red. Okay, so it doesn't tell me anything about the pH, it only tells me they're both acid. So what I need is a way to tell me what the pH is, so I can work out how far along this scale is. Okay, so what I can use is something called universal indicator. All right, so let's just quickly make a note of the problem with litmus paper. So litmus paper litmus paper cannot tell you how acidic or alkaline a solution is. However, if we take a universal indicator, that will be able to tell us. So if I draw myself another scale here, all right, where we're looking down here, we're looking at pH equals 1, up here pH equals 14, and in the middle you've got a pH of 7. What do I call this again? Yeah, I call it neutral. All right. What I get is a range of colours. So depending on what the specific pH is, I get a range of colours. All right, so universal indicator, sorry, I should just mention, it's a liquid which can be added to a solution. All right, so it's a liquid you add to your solution. So let's imagine you've got your solution here. You don't know whether it's acid or alkali. What you do is you take a pipette, which is a piece of equipment that we'll use in the lab. All right, and you just put a few drops into your solution and it will change color. Now, if it is a yellow-green color, it'll be somewhere in the middle. All right. If it's blue or purple, then it's an alkali. But as you go further along the pH scale, okay, it becomes darker. All right. So you'll need to look in the textbook on Caboodle and you can see a picture of what it looks like. Likewise, over here, we've got orange, red. And same again, as we get more acidic, it gets a darker shade of red. All right. But likewise, you'll need to look in the book. There's a nice picture in there which shows you it. Okay. So I'd just like to finish with 2 questions to make sure we are able to use this scale, because you need to be a little bit careful. And those 2 questions are these. Okay, so first question, which is more alkaline? So I've given you a choice between drain cleaner, which has a pH of 13, and soap, which has a pH of 8. So which one is more alkaline? And second question, which one is more acidic? So these are both going to have pHs of less than 7. Lemon juice, which is a pH of 5, or hydrochloric acid, which has a pH of 2. So you need to pause the video now and make a decision on which one's which. Okay, so which is more alkaline? You should have selected drain cleaner, because pH of 13 is going to be up here. Okay, that's going to be there on the scale, whereas a pH of 8 is going to be about here. So you can see that 13 is further along the scale than 8, so it is more alkaline. Now this one's slightly more tricky. You should have selected hydrochloric acid, because even though the number is smaller, so sometimes some people think that, well, this is a bigger number, so it's more acidic. That's not true. And if we look at the scale, you can see, well, pH of 5 would be here, but a pH of 2 would be up here. So you can see that even though 2 is a smaller number, it means it's further along the scale towards the acidic end. So hydrochloric acid is your more acidic solution.